Hey Stampers, it's Linda Schmitt with Stampin' with the Hounds. Today I have another fun technique. This one is using our soft pastel chalks. So if you I've been around with Stampin' Up for over 20 years. So Stampin' Pastels were, remember the old palette, and it had like little square chalks. That's kind of similar, but these are a little bit more sturdier. And then we just have they're more like a true pastel, where it's kind of in that kind of like cube rectangular kind of chalk thing, and we've only got a few colors. So this technique I am calling pulled pastels. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply the chalk to a dark colored cardstock. And I've done a variety of cardstocks. I've done black, I've done Night and Navy, early espresso. Any of your super really dark cardstocks are going to work for this technique. So, and then what you're going to do after that, you'll apply the chalks. Then you want to find, and I've just been using background stamps, but you can certainly do any kind of like solid or bold image stamps and use your Stamparatus. And we're going to pull that ink off of there using our Versamark. And this is kind of like a fun, just kind of a neat kind of background technique. So on this one, this is on black cardstock was my base. I applied my chalk, and then I took the Snow Crystals background stamp, inked it up with Versamark, and then I pulled that chalk off. So you can kind of get that, you can see the black cardstock, but then you still see your chalked image. So that's that one. And this is with the Christmas barn stamp with a little horse and sleigh with it. And then here's another one with a snow crystal, just kind of keeping it a little more simple. I did a little bit of the silver foil paper to kind of accent it. And then here I did a few more colors. So on this one, I had only done the night, they call this Night and Navy, even though it looks really almost like an orchid oasis or starry night. But it is it's the darker blue, and then Coastal Cabana. That's what I did on these first two. And then on this one, I added the grape. So I did the grape, the Coastal Cabana, and the Night and Navy. And then on this one, I actually, once I had it done the Versamark, I embossed it just to see if it would work, and it did. So that was kind of fun. So I was kind of playing around with that one. And then here I switched it up. I changed my stamp sets. So I went from the, I did the Rays of Light stamp set. And on this one, I had done the Poppy Parade, and then the two, I did a combination of the two yellows plus the green, the darker green, which I think this one they are calling it, yeah, they are calling it Mossy Meadow. So that's the Mossy Meadow, Mango Melody, and Daffodil Delight, and Poppy Parade. So that's kind of this one. And then I did that Rays of Light, and then I did some of the Harvest dies with it, and then put it on a Cajun Craze cardstock base. Same color format, but this one I did the Daisy Garden stamps, background stamp instead, and then I did the Sending Smiles stamps, or dies, and stamp set with that one. And then another Daisy Garden one, and then this time I did the Go-To Greetings dies, or stamp set with the rectangular stitch dies for that one. So really fun. You know, like I said, just kind of play around. That's kind of what I did. And so some of these, like on this one, this was on the early espresso cardstock. So you can kind of see, it's kind of hard to see it in the camera, but you can kind of see that this is the dark brown. So that was early espresso. This one was, that was on black. And this one was on black as well. And this one I did on Night and Navy. This was a Night and Navy one. And this one was basic black cardstock, was my base. So we are going to get started. We're going to do a version of this one today. So what you need, again, is a dark, neutral colored cardstock. So I'm going to do Night of Navy. You can, like I said, you can also do basic black. You could do the early espresso. You could do even probably like basic gray would work as well. Anything that's really a darker base. So what you're first going to do is we're going to take our Stampin' Pastels. And on this one, I'm going to do kind of what I did on this one where I've got more of the 3 colors. So I'm going to be using the Gorgeous Grape, I'm going to use that Night and Navy, and then the Coastal Cabana is what I'm going to use for my 3 colors. So you're first going to take your chalks, and you're just rubbing these against the cardstock. And I'm going to do the Coastal Cabana next. And then we'll do a little bit of the grape. And I'm just going to kind of rotate it a little bit, and then I'm going to go back with my what they call Night and Navy, which I always think it's kind of more of that Starry Sky, Orchid Oasis. It's definitely more of a blue. And then we'll do the Coastal Cabana. And then we'll finish off with the Gorgeous Grape. So as you notice, when you're doing this, you are going to make a little bit of a mess. So I have a silicone mat underneath. Like I said, you can always use our little craft mat. This is just, I've got a big, a larger one that I had gotten from a craft store. And then I'm just going to wipe off some of that excess chalk so I don't get it all over my workstation. So you will want to have a damp cloth. I like to have a drier cloth then, just to wipe off, just get rid of that moisture. Okay, so now once you have applied your chalks, what I'm going to do is, now you can either grab your daubers and do this, but I'm just going to cheat and I'm just going to use my fingers. So I'm going to do one finger for the Gorgeous Grape, and I'm just going to smear this. So I'm going to do my grape, all my grape first. I'll clean off my finger. Then I'm going to do my Coastal Cabana and kind of blend it, moving it into the other 2 colors just to blend it. And then I'll do that final one, the Night and Navy, just kind of blending it. Like I said, you can totally use your sponge daubers here if you want, if you don't want to get inky fingers. But I just have my little cloth, clean off my fingers, clean off my workstation with that silicone mat. It just makes it nice to clean that up. Okay, so now you have your blended kind of chalky background. So super fun. Okay, so that's all we need to do for the chalks. We can go ahead and put those away. And then I like to use my Stamparatus now for this next part. And the reason why is because I want to ensure I'm always pulling. I want a nice, crisp, really crisp image. So I'm going to use the Snow Crystal background stamp. Let me move things around here a little bit just to make sure I'm in screen. Okay, so we are going to place this on. So I've already kind of positioned, I've got my little markers here from where I made my previous card. Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to make sure your Versamark ink pad is super inked up. So when you get your Versamark pad, when it's brand new, it's this lovely clear pad that's like super pretty. Mine is well loved and it's stained. So as you use it, it'll get a little grungy looking, but as long as you're re-inking it, it's still going to stamp clear. So I just want this to be really, really, really juicy. So I'm just re-inking it, and I just kind of massage that ink into the ink pad. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my snow crystal stamp. Sorry, I'm trying to get into camera here. Back up a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to ink this up. And then we will bring this over. And what this Versamark is doing is it's going to pull that chalk off. Now, as you can see, it's not all the way like a clear image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this off because I want to pull, I don't want to re-ink it with my pad yet because there's this chalk that I've pulled from the cardstock. So I'm going to wipe this off with a damp cloth, dry it, and then I'm going to re-ink it again with the Versamark. And I'm going to restamp. So this is why it's nice to have the Stamparatus, because it's keeping it in that exact same image that you just stamped. So it's positioned correctly. Okay, and that looks pretty good. So now my image, so it's pulled that chalk off. So I'm just going to make sure I clean my stamp. Just make sure that chalk isn't sitting on there. And then I'll dry it off. Okay, and then that is it for the Stamparatus. Now, like I said, the Versamark is an embossing ink pad. So at this point, if you wanted to, you can emboss this if you wanted to with clear embossing powder. And I'm just gonna, just to save on time, I'm just gonna let it be. So, all right. And then if you have, so I got a little bit of edging here. You can just always fill that in with my stamp thing. Okay. So now there is that technique where it's pulled that chalk off, and then you still see that really pretty chalked background. Now, the chalk, it does, like I said, it's still going to pick up on your finger. So what you want to do at this point is you can either seal it, and I've just been doing some hairspray, but just because I don't have my poly seal thing, so I'm just using some hairspray. I'm going to do this off screen because I don't want to get hairspray on my mat, but I just have this kind of thing over my garbage can, and I'm just using just an aerosol. I know it's a Veda. Isn't that crazy? It's expensive, but I hated this hairspray. It was way too hard. So I've been using it on my card. High class cards. Okay, and then I'm just going to give this a quick shot with the heat gun. Okay, now the other thing that I like to do is I like to add a little bit of my white splatter. So I'm going to take I've already put it on, if you can kind of see it here. I already have the white craft ink refill. I put a bunch of it on here. I took my water painter and added a little bit of water to this so that it's good and kind of liquidy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my aqua paint or my water painter, and I usually take a bone folder or something. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tap and add those little snow splatters. And this does get kind of everywhere. So just make sure your workspace is, you don't have like an ink pad open or your card pieces laying around nearby, because you do make a mess with it. So, okay. So once you have that, now you've got those little white kind of stars or snowflakes. I'm just going to go ahead and grab my damp cloth, and I'm just wiping off all that excess white ink that's splattered everywhere. And this is just our little silicone mat that helps to kind of grab that cardstock. Okay, let that dry. And then I'm going to attach this onto so this one was 3 3/4 by 5. I'm going to attach this onto a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white cardstock. And the reason why I do this is I just think it pops a little bit having that white border. Make sure that's all clean. And you notice my white ink isn't quite dry yet. That's why I'm kind of wiping this off. So again, you can take your heat gun, give it a shot, just to make sure that that white ink is dry. Okay, and then this will then be attached to, and I'm using one of the In Colors, the Fresh Freesia cardstock. I just thought it was a pretty complementary color to these 3 that I had done. Okay. All right. Now we're just going to finish off our card. And I have done from the Christmas Barn stamp set and bundle, I have already stamp and die cut the horse and sleigh. So that's the stamp, and then there's the coordinating die. And then I also had done from the same set, It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. And then I took from the die kind of like the snow or pond or kind of ice. I die cut that from some silver foil. And then I also did, you get 3 sets of these little snowflakes. So I die cut all of those in silver foil, and I have those kind of sitting over here. So we're just going to assemble everything now. So I like to take my dies and multiple cut them. So I did 3 just plain white, and I'm just going to layer these on top of each other. And this is just building dimension. Sometimes when I'm doing my own cards, this is what I do instead of just using dimensionals. I try and save sometimes my dimensionals for my in-person card classes, but this is my way of using up a lot of my scraps, and then it builds dimension. And these actually, it holds up a little bit better too when you're mailing. It still kind of keeps that dimension. It doesn't get smushed down. So I've got 4 layers of basic white, and this is just the regular basic white. If I was doing the thick basic white, I would have just done probably 3 layers, and that would have included the one that I stamped. So got that all ready to go. And then I've got my pond that I did in the silver foil. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom here. And this is going to go, let's see here, we'll kind of position it. Something like that. And I know this is going to go on the bottom. Let's see here. So let me put this up just a little bit. And then on this one, I had just stamped it on a piece of scrap. It had a little bit of a strip. And I am just going to pop this up because this is what I manually cut. There wasn't a die cut for it. So I'm just going to use our mini dimensionals. And I'll just put a few on here just to kind of give some support. Peel these off. Okay, and then those are going to go just right underneath. All right, and then for the little silver stars that I die cut, what I like to do is I take my Take Pick tool and I place my little die cut. So there's no glue on here yet. I'm just placing these on my card right now so that I know kind of how I want it to be laid out. And these were there was 3 of them, and they cut out 3 at a time, so I've got 9 of them total. I'll put one there. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We want that there. It's always a fun part, deciding where you want to place everything. Okay, so I think that looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and then use my glue. And I'm using the Tombow liquid glue. So once I have them positioned where I wanted, I'll then go ahead, pick it up, add a little bit of glue, and then press down. Okay. So you could also do rhinestones here if you wanted to, but like I said, since this Christmas barn stamp set or a die cut has those little snowflakes, it's kind of, it replaces that look of your little rhinestones. And then I'm going to, for my inside, I've just got a 1/4 sheet of white cardstock, and I'm going to use the Very Best Occasions stamp greeting, and I'm using the with a little more sparkle and a little less stress. Let's make Christmas the very best. So I'm going to use that on the inside, and this is in the Starry Sky, which is one of the new in colors. It's a really pretty color. I love this color. And then we'll go ahead and attach this to the inside of our card. And that is it. That is that pulled pastels technique using our soft pastel chalk. So thanks again for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I will put a list of the supplies used today in the description below. And then make sure you join me in my Facebook page.